there, everybody, good neighbors, and Arnold, how in the world are you?
Hey, Jeff, I'm good. How is everyone doing? I hope they're doing well. They can't answer me right now. They can answer me later.
Yes, if you're listening to this, just send a message to Arnold that says, "Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking." Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna turn us up real quick.
Okay.
I noticed that we're a little quiet today. All right, testing 1, 2. All right, we're good.
According to my daughter, it's hard for me to be quiet, so
so we'll turn you down.
Yes, and we'll turn you up, and
Okay.
then maybe we'll meet in the middle.
Maybe it'll just be loud enough.
There you go.
No, for the haters.
Naysayers are going to naysay.
So how have you been? I know we talked right now, and you're doing good.
Yeah, we've been doing good. Sherry's been a little under the weather, but we're doing good. It's a cold February day, but that's all right. Life continues on. We do all right. You got to travel back up to Austin for a few days last weekend, and
so that's why we didn't get to do our podcast last week for other reasons.
We were actually life is what happens while you're making other plans. It was we were supposed to have been in Lubbock instead of being cold in the Rio Grande Valley. We could have been even more cold in Lubbock because we were supposed to have gone on a lectureship to the. They used to call it the Sunset School of Preaching, but I think, let me see if I remember it now, it's like the Sunset International Bible Institute now, I think is what they call it, SIBI.
Well, that's cool.
And, but we had one of our dear friends from the North Mission family pass away, and so the funeral was actually last weekend or whenever that was.
I think that was already last Wednesday.
Yeah, or Thursday.
Last Thursday, yeah.
And so we had to cancel our plans for that and take part. Arnold and I both took part in that service, actually. I was doing the speaking for it. Arnold was doing the recording for the family. So again, it worked out, and that'd be another good talk sometime. It's just how sometimes plans change, and you go with it, you get on with it the best you can, and you just roll with it. And
I could have something of what I had kind of wanted to talk about today, which is, speaking of plans, like business and money, are often the biggest plans we have now in the world. Mm-hmm. Even, I guess even as Christians. Well, me, I'm a freelancer, right? So finding money is something I have to think about, or, for the most part, how am I going to survive? Right. But we do have stuff on the Sermon of the Mount, Jesus Christ says, is life not more than the clothes and the food, right, on your back, and God loves you, He provides for you, but I can imagine how hard that is to feel when you're worried about paying the bills. Which I'm in a lucky situation where I'm still a single guy. I don't have much bills, but the bills I do have are trying to start the business that I have, so I'm just in the red most of the time anyway. Right. Which for now is okay, but some people that's really not okay.
Well, it's also money and that kind of stuff, financial situations. It's still one of the big reasons for divorce. Yeah. It's a major reason for anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. It's one of those things that it is a major deal. We try to laugh it off. We try to pretend it's not, it's not a big deal or anything like that. But the reality is, especially in times like this, inflation's getting a little harder. I just was going down the road. I don't know where you are in the world, but gas now, regular gas in the valley right now is like $3.09.
Yeah.
All that starts going up. It starts to hurt. It starts to put a bind on you. So again, what do you do? And so for some people, it kind of brings out a more generous spirit. For other people, it kind of turns them into the type of people that tries to take advantage of others so that they can get more money. Which again, that's like a major thing in the Rio Grande Valley is that people try to get as much as they can from other people. And it's just it's almost like a game. But so the worry and stuff that comes from money, it is real. It can get to you.
I know it gets to you. I mean, obviously, like, just because, I mean, me and everyone else, especially in the church, just because we're Christians does not mean we don't feel the weight of the world.
Right.
Most of the time. We just have different ways of dealing with it that maybe some people don't understand. You know, if we give it to God and we say, oh, it's going to happen, and then, we live life by faith, some people will kind of, we pray it off, or,
right.
People on the surface can think that's pretty lazy.
Yeah, they can view it as like you're like an ostrich sticking your head in the sand. But, you brought up Sermon on the Mount. Now, you remember how the ending of that section goes.
Why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow for today has enough worry.
After that,
I gotta go back to it.
Seek first
the kingdom of heaven,
His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Also, in the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus was talking about prayer, he'll tell people after he gives it's before he gives what some people call the Lord's Prayer. He says, stop praying like pagans.
In the street or in front of people.
That's hypocrites.
Oh.
Stop praying like pagans.
For all this stuff, right? Stop asking for everything.
Well, just because you think you'll be heard because you're many words. In other words, stop trying to butter up God. Stop trying to brown nose God, know. And it's like, stop rambling, basically. Yeah. Stop rambling. Because God knows what you need even before you ask Him.
Yeah.
And so again, even the way you direct your prayer, it shouldn't be about, give me. It should be about, talking to God, but also Jesus would tell the parable of the persistent widow who would just pray for justice to this unrighteous judge over and over and over again. And the point of that prayer was, you keep praying to God until something happens. So again, it's prayer is powerful, prayer is important, when used properly. But also, you just go back to just basic business and money matters. There's some wonderful lessons in the Bible that are centered around those topics. Mm-hmm. For example, we in America, we love our stuff. I mean, there used to be a show, you can actually see reruns on it now on one of the network stations now. But there used to be a show called Hoarders.
Yeah, I remember that show.
In which, in essence, there were enough hoarders in the country that they were actually able to make a television series about people doing this. And again, the hoarder, and just in case you don't know, a hoarder is somebody who they just bring in stuff and bring in stuff and bring in stuff, and basically they turn their house into so much clutter that you can't even walk around in it. And it's not even necessarily like fancy stuff. I mean, it's anything and everything that they can get their hands on for various reasons. Some people believe that they absolutely need it. Other people are scared of not having what they need, and just other people just have a compulsive nature to just collect and to collect and collect until, so again, that's not a good thing. That's not good. Jesus told a parable about the rich fool, whose land was blessed. It's not even necessarily hoarding with a bunch of junk. His land was actually blessed with an abundant crop. Tears down barns, builds up more, and he says, well, now I have enough for myself. I get to eat, drink, and be merry. And then God comes to him that night and says, you fool, tonight your life is demanded from you. Now who's going to get what you stored up for yourself?
Yeah.
And that parable started with Jesus talking to a crowd and somebody just busting in and demanding Jesus to tell this guy's brother to split the inheritance with him. So it's actually a parable about selfishness.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the chance to ask Jesus one question, what would it be? Like face to face.
Not for money.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's what this guy did. Jesus, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me. I'm busy, man.
Bro, I'm the Messiah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I can. Another little tangent. I can imagine how, I don't want to say annoyed maybe Jesus would have got, but really, guys, he would, kind of give him that gotta teach these.
What he actually said was who made me judge and arbiter among you? And then he told them, watch out for all kinds of unselfishness. Then he told the parable. And then he says, so will it be for again, about the danger of selfishness.
Yeah.
And so again, I mean, it's when it comes to money and business, I mean, the opinions are just all over the place. Like, for example, is money evil?
Oh, well, let me see. Hold on here. Timothy said the love of money is the root of all evil. So money technically isn't evil. It's it's what's in our heart about it.
Money is amoral. It's not good or evil.
It's just an object.
It's an object.
Yeah.
It has no feeling, it has no emotion, it has no brain. I mean, it's crazy how people sometimes view money. I mean, the same money that is used to build every children's hospital in the world is the same money that is used to buy, drugs, sex, and murder. I mean, it's money. Money has no ability of its own to do anything.
Yeah.
I remember I saw this on a game show once. The question was, what is the root of all evil? And the person answered, money, and he got it right on the game show. But that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's the love of money. Now, the ramification of the love of money being the root of all kinds of evil is that it'd be easy, and it's so easy to just think, well, the love of money is a rich man's problem. But it's not. If it was money that was the root of all kinds of evil, okay, that might have been a rich person's problem, but it's the love of money. Which means I can be the poorest person on the planet, not have anything to my name whatsoever, and still have a love of money.
Yeah.
I don't have to have it in order to love it.
And I don't have to want it.
That's right. And I don't have to have it in order for it to corrupt me.
Yeah.
So again, the question, when we're talking about like business and money through God's eye, so to speak, that's a major one, is how does the individual view money?
Yeah.
What is money to you?
It's supposed to be a tool in which I can use to live my life, get through this land that we call Earth as I sojourn through. There we go.
You've been reading. Look at
you. Some old Bibles. But no, to me, realistically, in 2022 in America, money is something I feel that I need in order to get things done. Like whether it's like continue my business, live, buy food, find an apartment.
Well, that's not 2022 America. That's just Arnold having to live in adult land now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's.
I'm an adult now, so I gotta live like an adult, and money has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Having enough money to live as an adult, which a lot of the times I feel like less of an adult because I have less money. Yeah. And
so does money make you a person?
No.
Okay.
No, and so it's just like a temptation to feel that way.
Yeah. How much money did Jesus have?
None.
Okay.
Yeah. He's pretty adult-like.
No, yeah. I mean, it's the people who were in the first century church. A lot of them were poor.
Yeah.
A lot of them didn't have a lot to their name. The apostles didn't spread the gospel for the money. I guarantee you that. Now, Christians had their own businesses. And they were able to help fund the church through their businesses, and which enabled other people that were inside the church to be able to give food and shelter and things like this. But that's the thing is I think one of the big differences between the way the world views money and the way God views money is, what is your motivation? Because again, people have gone to the Bible and pointed out that money is a sin. And people have gone to the Bible and pointed out how, no, money is a blessing, and they use their various examples, because the truth be told, God did make people rich. He has done that before.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it for their own ends. And also, the people he made rich, they tended towards righteousness. And again, it was also how they lived and what they used their money for.
Yeah.
If God blesses us with wealth, or the talent to make wealth, because some people are just talented in that vein to be able to just make money hand over fist. Some people can sing really well. Other people can make money. And but the question is, what are you going to use it for? What's your purpose? What? Why do you want it?
Yeah, that's important, because I feel like, I used to want it because I felt like that's where comfort came from.
Mm-hmm.
That's where assurance came from. I have the money. I don't have to worry about paying the bills if the money's going to be there. And now I want it just to survive, right? Just to be able to live in the world. That's fear, I guess, even though I know I'm not supposed to feel that. And I fight that every day. It's like that fear of not having it making me less of a responsible person, making me less effective in the kingdom, so to speak, because obviously I don't have a business that can fund the church, right? Right now, my business, the first part of my business is just to get my head out of water, and then hopefully one day I have enough money to continue to give back to the church.
Well, if we're not careful, we can go down slippery slope, because the truth is the economy is going to do what the economy does, and just because some people have a lot or little doesn't necessarily shouldn't make other people question their character. This is what I mean. Mm-hmm. You go to 1 Timothy, for example, and you look at the qualifications of the elders, mm-hmm. and it talks about how they need to be responsible and above reproach, and these types of things, and how they should just be godly people, not easily swayed by money and these types of things. And so some churches out there, they took that to mean you need successful financial business people to be your elders.
I know it says they have to be respected businessmen.
No, does it say they have to be businessmen? Now, here's the point that I'm making. There was once a case at a church in which a guy was an elder, right?
Uh-huh.
And then, the economy turned on him. In other words, he had healthy business practices. He treated his employees well. It's just that in his particular industry, the economy tanked, and he had to close up shop. It just went belly up through situations not in his control. And so the church asked him to step down as an elder because he lost his business. Obviously you don't know what you're doing with your money, and In other words, the point is that they equated financial success with spiritual success.
And
now, should we do that?
Obviously not right. No, we shouldn't.
No, it is not right. Just because you might be financially gifted does not automatically make you a spiritual person. Contrary-wise, just because you're a poor person doesn't automatically make you a spiritual person either.
Right.
It's deeper than that, but it goes back to the idea that money is a tool. The world's going to do what the world's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Many people lost everything they had during the Great Depression, and that wasn't that wasn't the people's fault when they lost everything when the economy tanked on them. And so it's again, all of this, you might if you're out there, you might thinking you're rambling, guys. We're not rambling. The point that we're trying to make is we got to quit looking at somebody's financial level as a level of goodness or a level of virtue, a level of righteousness, because that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's not. So how should we run business? What do you think is some good tips or steps of good Bible business?
Well, I know I wrote them down. I don't know how long it'll take me to get to them. The first thing that I don't know if I've heard this, but honest and fair business practice, you give what you owe. I think when it was Jacob who was working, because he wanted to marry this dude's wife, and the dude
he didn't want to marry the dude's wife.
He wanted to marry the dude's daughter. I'm sorry. We don't marry dudes' wives. We don't marry dudes' wives here, okay? He wanted to marry his daughter, but the guy was like, all right, work for 7 years, but then gave him his other daughters.
Gave him the older daughter, Leah.
Yeah, and then so you got to keep working for the other one, and he's like, that's not part of our deal, kind of deal, but he did.
Right.
So stuff like that, I guess, being honest on your end, even if the other person's not going to be honest most of the time, or
there's you brought it when we talked before doing this, before you hit play, in other words, or record. You talked about Proverbs, and the book of Proverbs is awesome. The book of Proverbs, if you've never just read it, it's 30 chapters, 30 or 31. But anyway, the point being is that if you read a chapter a day, you can read the entire book of Proverbs in a month. And it's worth doing because it has rules in there and good sayings in there, good teachings in there over a wide variety of topics, including money, business, envy, and selfishness. It's all in there, and it's interesting what it teaches. And sometimes the Proverbs gets repeated, maybe with a word or two difference, but that same idea is there. But for a big one is that the book of Proverbs calls people like dishonest businessmen or dishonest business practice. It calls it an abomination before God.
Dishonest business practice.
Yeah, and so it's like, consider that. What is an abomination?
Something that was not meant to happen.
See, that's the thing. It's like, abomination goes beyond something that's not liked or something that's hated. It's something that was never even supposed to be. In other words, when business was created, or when God created man, it was the furthest thing from God's mind that we would actually rip people off. That we would rip each other off. That God was like, why would you do that? It's like, in what realm does this seem like a good idea?
Right.
So that's a big one. It's like the idea of ripping people off, scamming other people, and things like that. That's an abomination before the Lord. You're not allowed to do that. Some other things that they talk about is don't use dishonest scales. That's a repeated one in the book of Proverbs. Yes.
Oh. See, none of that is in the back of my Bible concordance.
Oh, see, you should look up scales and see what it shows you.
Oh, no, wait. I really have to really dive deep into all these terms.
Yes.
Scales, gold, silver, all that stuff.
Yes. I was worried when you were talking about, I'm going to look up business. And I was
there's no. Nothing on business.
No, there is. It just says, I got to give about my father's business. So in other words,
different stuff.
That's right.
Not useful stuff. Not gonna say it's not useful.
But the thing is like dishonest scales. And now some of you might remember, or if you go grocery shopping, the scales that you find in the produce section, and you get your bag of apples, and it's like $1 a pound or whatever it is, and so you weigh it so that you can get your barcode and get it scanned up front. Well, back in the day, they still used scales, and they still sold things based on weight. And so if you're a businessman, you are not allowed to have dishonest scales.
Right.
You're not allowed to have your scales side on your favor, so then you can charge your customers more. It was a shady business practice. Yeah. In other words, God looks down on all shady business practices. Now the question is, you say it makes sense. Why does this make sense?
Honesty, I feel, has a lot to do with love. So if you're loving your brother, you're not going to be dishonest. And in the world, we're often we don't love each other like we should.
Yeah.
Some people more than others, and that turns into greediness, wanting for money. Money is their go-to thing that gives them comfort. And makes us do stuff. And what comes back to the love for money makes us do stupid things.
That's right. Basically, you look at the dishonest scales, and obviously they didn't call it dollar and cents back in the day, but if you can imagine it, people are selling their integrity, they're selling their character for an extra 2 cents a pound, so to speak. Just to throw out a number. Somebody putting their thumb on the scale while they're weighing out, whatever. It's all that, and it's like, again, we're supposed to love each other, we're supposed to love God. And do I have such little love of man that I'm like I said, I'm going to rip you off for cents on the pound? Is it worth that much?
Yeah.
And also, again, do we trust God? Again, it goes back to that: seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. And that's talking about just being able to go through this life. Do we trust God to supply our needs? not wants,
our needs,
to supply our needs. And if we conduct good, solid business practices, again, I'm not saying that your business is going to boom. I mean, come on, we're not that naive, but some way, somehow, we'll be able to find work.
Yeah.
And also, again, as you know, we've talked about this, you're trying to develop a freelance career. How important is your integrity, professional integrity now, when it comes to freelance work?
It's really important. People want to know they can trust you.
Okay, about to say, what goes in, what's important for you to be a freelancer as you start trying to work with other people and businesses? What do they need to think about you?
They need to be assured that I can do the job that they're paying me to do correctly and with the quality that they would expect from another person, charging the same price, if not more. Right. So I have to represent my skills with integrity and be honest when I can say I can't do that. I don't have the equipment for that, or I don't have the right software, or granted, I can say yes, I can do it, not have the software, go buy the software. That's I don't know where white lies come into play here, but a lot of the time, I've seen business practices are you're trying to apply for the job. You may not have all the equipment that the job is asking for, but you apply for it anyway, and you work on renting the equipment or buying it beforehand. But don't let the job slip through just because you feel at the time you're not adequate. Maybe in my case, trust that God is either going to stop the job for me if I'm not ready, or he's going to let me be able to get all this equipment that I need. Right. So it's stuff like that, I guess, is different. But for the most part, you want to assure people that you're going to do the job that they want with the right equipment that they want, and not be a jerk to them. To be part of the team. Being part of the team, in my opinion, goes a long way. Wanting to be there, enjoying your time there, because for the most part you're there for 12 hours a day, for a few days on end with the same people, just trying to make a commercial or something, and it can people can get annoyed pretty fast with each other. So you have to be chill.
Right. So again, when you have to go out, you need to be on time, and you need to be ready. You need to be ready when they need you, and you have
just
to
reliable in general.
How far does that go? Especially in times like this. This is super important in times like this. Because I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, but in the Rio Grande Valley, just the idea of basic customer service.
Being polite goes a long way.
Going downhill. We have a guy that goes to church with us, and he used to work for a company, a healthcare company, like an in-home healthcare situation, and they actually bumped him up to being the trainer of customer service representatives. This is something that he had a big background in this. He's good with people. He can talk to anybody. He doesn't know a stranger, and so he just kind of has that bubbly personality. So his employer put him in charge of training all the phone people. They weren't doing this was during COVID, so they didn't have people coming in to the counter. But it got to the point actually that he got to go to El Paso with his boss to train the office out there, because again, somewhere along the line, we've stopped training people how to just put a smile on their face, to represent the company well, and all these little things that can add to the professionalism of your office. And it's unfortunate because it's such a little thing. We actually live in a period of time right now where a lot of people don't think these types of behaviors are necessary anymore in order to ensure good business practices. But again, it goes beyond common sense. It's also biblical. In the Bible, they put it in the realm of slaves and masters. But the truth is anybody who's working a job or has a responsibility is look, serve others as you serve the Lord. That's another big one. It's when you're going to work, or if you're doing something, that person that is your customer, or that person that is your employer, serve him as you would God.
Yeah.
With a glad heart, with a cheerful spirit, to the very best of your ability. Something, like I've seen people start commenting stuff on social media, things like, it's stupid to give your life 40 years to a business when they're going to treat you like junk in the end.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I want to serve them as I do the Lord, which means I serve them, I do the best for them, and then I trust God will work it out. They might not do it. That's true.
Yeah.
That's not on me. What am I going to do? What's my integrity worth?
Yeah.
Is my integrity worth just giving my best to those who deserve it? I'm doing air quotation marks. Or am I going to do my best for everybody who comes through because that's what I'm supposed to be doing? And then you let God work it out.
Yeah.
That's seeking first the kingdom of God, and all these things I'll give to you as well.
Yeah.
Because some people don't appreciate. They like to gripe when they get bad business, but the truth is, it's like if they don't necessarily reward people when they do good business either. But what's your integrity worth? So that's one thing about business is that some people will appreciate good business, other people won't. But at the end of the day, when you lay your head down to rest, whatever time that is, do you get to do it with a clear conscience that today you did the very best you could at whatever business or skill that you were trying to apply for your customers on that day?
Yeah. Like the whole, how do you sleep at night to those shady business guys.
Yeah.
That's like, you see that, you hear that a lot. I hear that on TV. That expression, obviously, like, how do you sleep at night knowing that all your employees don't have benefits, kind of deal. And I'm not quite there yet where I have employees, but like, as far as treating people with integrity, even though they might not treat you very well, even though they might not pay you very well, I'm there, right? And I do feel that, I'm there knowing that I am serving the right way by just working as a good worker, with a cheerful heart,
right?
But when you're in it, it's really easy to be tempted to be like, oh, this guy doesn't even appreciate me. Why do I even have to do this? Why do we have to be here? I could just walk off if I wanted to.
Yeah.
All that stuff, and it's a struggle. I'd be lying if I said, I never thought that, even now as a Christian trying to go forward into this business.
When was the last time you read the story of Joseph out of the book of Genesis?
A few months ago.
Okay. Do you remember the story of Joseph out of the book of Genesis?
Yeah.
Okay. Consider the story of Joseph. 17-year-old kid. His brothers are jealous of him, so they put him down a cistern, and then they sell him into slavery. Okay. So now the favorite boy of the family is now a household slave,
and he's a good slave.
He's a good. The Lord's with him, and the Lord blesses him, and the Lord blesses Potiphar because of Joseph. Then everything turns south. When Potiphar's wife, propositions him, and he runs away, leaving his cloak in her hand, and she claims rape, and they throw him into prison. Now again, it's like, well, he didn't deserve that. No, he did not. And even though people go back and forth, I'm of the opinion that Joseph, at least from a worldly point of view, Joseph could have slept with her and gotten away with it. Because if she went after him that hard, I doubt that was the first time that situation has ever happened with one of the household slaves. But anyway, so he winds up in prison for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Now again, how easy would it be to curse God or to curse humanity and all this? Because he's in this situation, and he's going to stay there for, a number of years.
And he's a good prisoner.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's a good prisoner. Now, we know Genesis tells us that he was 17 when he sold into slavery, and he becomes second in command of Egypt at 30. So again, we got 13 years here, and that is somehow separate, and he's at least 2 years in the prison because he was 2 years after the dream sequence with the baker and the cupbearer. He's there for another 2 years before he's called out. So somewhere in between there's a split between being Potiphar's slave and then for real being in the jail, in the prison, in which while he's in the prison, he's still working hard.
Yeah.
He's still being a blessing to those who are above him. And God is still blessing him even in that state. Mm-hmm. So what's the lesson for that for us?
Seek first the kingdom of God.
Seek first the kingdom of God. Whatever situation that you are in, you're able to be a blessing. Mm-hmm. And this is like professionally speaking. I mean, it's supposed to be our lives anyway. But if we want to talk about business, if we want to talk about, earning money and things like this, running your own business, this needs to be like up there. It's like we need to find ways in which we can be a blessing. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that our business is, whatever, even if we're not the owner, maybe we're one of the employees. Yeah. Okay, that's your station. Yeah. So at that station, how are you going to be a blessing to your fellow employees, to the boss, to your customers, or to whatever type of service that you are in? How is it that you're going to be a blessing? Can God use you in whatever place you are to be a blessing to other people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not always easy, but yes. I feel like I do that now, and it's hard because it stings because it's easier when you feel appreciated, and it's harder to do it when you feel unappreciated, right? So what I'm saying is, of course, I understand the concept of you need to be a blessing, you need to serve cheerfully, no matter what. But when someone rubs you the wrong way, it's just like, when is enough? When can you walk away? When can you stop helping or stop serving, or do you even have a chance?
Okay, well, let's first a couple of things there. First of all, God knows He's always appreciated, isn't He?
Mm-hmm. No, well, yeah.
preacher man says sarcastically. So I mean that's something to remember. Is like whose name gets run through the dirt more than God's or Jesus's? About being appreciated versus not being appreciated. For the things that He does every day. But also, again, if you have a business and your business is like run off the power of contracts, like you're able to contract your services out with another, and you find yourself in a bad deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're in that situation. You finish that contract. You gave your word.
Yeah.
You gave your word, so you do your work to the very best of your ability. Now, God also gave us the power of discernment. We're talking about business. We're not talking about sharing the gospel. We're talking about business.
Yeah.
So you finish the contract. You do the very best you do. You do everything that you said you're going to do. You go above and beyond, and you do the very best work that you possibly can. But then you don't have to sign up another contract with them either.
True.
But you do the good work because it's like Peter would talk about. Peter talks about life. He says don't gripe. I'm paraphrasing, but don't gripe. Don't whine about the things that happen to you. Don't be cheerful in your suffering. Don't suffer like someone who deserves it. But when you go through suffering that you don't deserve, carry on with it. Or if people treat you bad, don't curse them back, but you still treat them well. Why? Because then you make that other person who's treating you bad look like an idiot. So if you go into business with somebody and they give you a raw deal, and you're like you just have that moment of I can't believe I'm in this. Finish that contract anyway, to the very best of your ability, going above and beyond like you usually do, and then you don't have to go into another business practice with them, but you do good enough work in which other people who are like in that same vein, they're like, goodness sakes, why would you do this to Arnold Enterprises when they treat all their customers so well? Yeah. So again, you let your business practices shine forth. And you do the very best of your ability. You keep your eyes on God's model for business, which is treating people with integrity, maintaining your honesty, doing the very best of your ability, serving others as you would the Lord, all that type of stuff. Being on time, being positive, being honest, and to where if people don't want to do business with you, it's almost like the rest of the people in that same industry was like, well, you're a moron. Why would you walk away from them?
Yeah. Yeah, and and that goes more than just being good at business. That's like obviously like more, because you had touched on just like doing your part, being nice, and when other people wrong you, that's they're gonna be like you're blameless in front of God for the most part, right? So like it's more than just business. It's like life. People treat you wrong in general. how are you gonna act, or the idea of turning the other cheek.
Right.
Right, and it's obvious that it's more than just money doesn't have to be involved with integrity.
Absolutely not. I mean, that's the thing is, when people do you wrong, are you going to allow those people to drag you into hell too?
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's the thing is, bad things are going to happen to all of us. Absolutely all of us. The question is when are we going to let that bad thing lead us to bad behavior?
Mm-hmm.
And see, because now we're getting into a justification discussion, because it's, we like to justify our bad behavior.
Yeah,
I'm owed this, I'm due this, I need this to relax, or I need this to get over, or I need to do this in order to get back to the person who did me wrong, or whatever it is. We justify our behavior all the time. But the thing is like, just because the bad thing happens to us does not then give us
an excuse.
The excuse to do the bad thing in return.
Yeah, no. Yep. I don't know. Unless you want to tell a parable about someone doing something bad. But, I can't think of anything in my immediate past. I mean, I can, before I accepted the Lord, I was different, and I would feel that way, right? Either lashing out at people because I felt wronged, or stuff like that. And I'm not gonna say that it just because we follow the Lord doesn't make it easier, but it's just what's easy is knowing what we have to do, and knowing that doing that will get us closer to God, will get us closer to Christ.
Following the Lord should make it easier eventually, because
eventually, and that's what I look forward to, is that it gets easier. As soon as I put on Christ, it did get a little easier, but the struggle was there, and it's just now that I recognize it, it's like knowing, being able to size up my enemy, so to speak.
Yeah, because again, it's going back to that idea. What are you seeking first?
Yeah.
You're seeking first His kingdom and His righteousness, and so you just have that knowledge of, as long as you maintain your faithfulness before God, you know where you're ending up eventually. And when we get to heaven, there's no business, there's no money, there's none of that.
Walk on the gold.
Right. I think that's one of the points of that imagery is instead of cement, where the streets are made of gold. In other words, that's how much the gold just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's worthless.
In heaven, we're walking on it, we're wiping our feet on it.
Yeah.
But here, we kill it. I was in high school in the 90s, right, and then the mid to late 90s, 94 and 98, and that period of time was freaky, man. This was a period of time in which kids were shooting each other for the Air Jordans.
Yeah,
it was just
I still hear stories about that.
Yeah, it was just well, really. You're gonna shoot somebody for shoes.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It is dumb. It's dumb on a number of levels. But again, once we get to heaven, we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So the lesson that Jesus was trying to teach us, and he is one of the lessons that we get to learn with the crucifixion of Jesus, is regardless of what this world does to us, seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and just trust God with it, and just let it rock. Because again, the pressure can get heavy, the burden can be heavy to bear if we allow it. If we're holding on to that burden, if we're holding on to all that stuff, then we need to do some soul searching to say, what am I holding on to too much, and not letting God work? And by the way, I'm speaking about this guy, me, here in this as well. I don't want to appear like some guy who never experiences these things again. But what is it? It's temptation. It's all temptation. Now, if I dwell on it, that's when this stuff can become sin. Yeah. But the temptation to dwell on it, that's just a temptation in order to get me sidetracked, in order to get me to stop. And so, you just gotta be willing to go on with it. Yeah. And for some people, it's business. For other people, it's money. And again, they wanting to just acquire money. People have plenty of money to be happy in our country. My mom was a private nanny for some people, and they, and down here in the Rio Grande Valley, you can get a nanny cheap. But where I came from in Dallas, you had to have money. It was the rich folk that was able to have a nanny, and so my mom was a nanny, and these people had plenty of money and possession in order to be happy by worldly standards. Miserable people.
Yeah.
Miserable. Completely miserable people. Because money is not where happiness is found.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, that might help cover some things, supposedly. Not really. But, just the pursuit of wealth, the pursuit of money, and making that a facet of life. And the problem with it is that money cannot love you back. Going back to the Sermon on the Mount, what did Jesus say?
One cannot serve two masters. You can't serve money and God. You'll end up loving one and hating the other.
Yeah. And right before that, he talked about do not save for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where burglars break in and steal, but instead save yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves cannot break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Nah. That's right. I want my heart to be in heaven. I want my treasures to be in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is temporary. Everything we have is temporary. The richest man on the planet doesn't get to take a cent with him. Mm-hmm. And so, again, money is a tool. Money is necessary for the type of society we live in. We're not living in a period of time. We're not living in a place where a barter system is functioning. It's a money society, so it is what it is. But it's not supposed to be the center of the individual. We're not supposed to have that love of money. Yeah. It's like, because life is short, and you never know when you got to stand before God. The book of James will tell us that, somebody will say, we'll go to this or this city, conduct business, and build money, and earn money. You don't even know when your life will end. What is life? Life is a mist. You have no idea when you're going to leave this planet. So if you make it centered around money, you're putting yourself into something that cannot save you for salvation. Even though it's necessary, we're not supposed to view it as the be-all and end-all of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's more important things to worry about. Mm-hmm. Like eternity.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot to end on today. I just want to thank everyone for listening in. I want to thank Jeff for coming in and always giving, I don't know, I'd say you give good wisdom to me. Sometimes I feel like this is just like conversations with my preacher. Like, hey, what do I do? Like, hey, life is going this way and that way.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. I don't want to wait till stuff hits the fan.
No, I don't want you to wait until stuff hits the fan. Yeah.
So everyone out there, don't wait till stuff hits the fan to talk to your preacher.
That's right.
Or to talk to your friends in general.
Yes.
But yeah, if you want to follow us or look us up, we're on Facebook. I'm under Arnold Martinez.
I am under Jeff LaPlace, and you can find the newer episodes of the podcast on SoundCloud. You can find older episodes of the podcast as well as sermons and whatnot on the North Mission Church of Christ YouTube page. So feel free to give those a look. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you think. If you ever have a topic or anything that you wish us to discuss, message either Arnold or myself, and we'll see where it goes. But grace and peace to all of you. God bless you.
God bless you.